Did your legend of telling Batista off and Shawn Michaels off and Randy Orton off reach TNA before you were hired by TNA?
I have no idea. Here's the thing. I have no idea what things have been said about me. I'm dying to know. I always say this. If you're people out there and you were there, please let me know because I have no idea what like was said about me, what my reputation was. I Because when I was in WWE, I was like involved with Domino from Deuce and Domino and Cherry. And so I was obsessed with making him my boyfriend. So instead of politicking, I was chasing him around, being like, why won't you let me be your girlfriend? So like I wasn't like whatever. And what's interesting is I think people thought both in TNA and WWE that I was politicking because I would sit down with writers and agents and like D Malenko and like, I used to be friends with Lagana for a while and stuff like that. So I would sit there, we would never talk about my spot, what I'm doing. It was all personal, like what they're doing in their personal life. Cause I like these guys, like freaking D Malenko. I freaking love that dude, And like, I would sit there and just like chat with them because I just enjoyed their company. And so I feel people thought I was probably politicking and I wasn't. I was just hanging out, just having a good time. And it's funny because I ended up telling off Jeff Jarrett.
Why can't you pick on the lower talent to tell off, for God's sake, instead of the owners?
Because there's no status with me when it comes to treating people like human beings. I don't care if you're the owner or you're the guy at the bottom of the totem pole. And that's why my career has been the way it is. But I don't care because that's just what my path was supposed to be. And I grew up watching shows like Three's Company and stuff. And when you grow up watching these shows where they're based around miscommunications, misunderstandings that could have been avoided if somebody would have said something, that helped grow me into a person that I don't want miscommunications, I don't want misunderstandings. I say something. Um,
But with Jeff
you
Jarrett, I can't let that one go. What was that over? I must ask.
okay, so in TNA, this is what bothered me. I didn't realize it at the time that I was coming from WWE to TNA, like what that meant. To me, I was butthurt that WWE fired me. And when I went to TNA, even though I got to be in an awesome gimmick that I loved, because a lot of people don't know this, but when I was in WWE, when I would go and work out on my off days at the gym, I'd go where the cardio wall was and TNA would be on, and I would see LAX. And because I grew up where like some of my cousins are gangbangers and stuff like that, I related to that vibe. And so I would tell myself, and this is way before I knew I had any issues of getting fired. I just thought, if I were ever to be with these guys, this is what I would do. And I'd kind of like play in my head, like how my character would be. I just didn't like, I would just like, oh, that'd be kind of funny, like whatever. And so when I got to be with them, it was awesome because I got to be this extension of who I already was, just like I was in WWE. But I was still I look at TNA as like a rebound. Like WWE was my first love, and then this was my rebound after being dumped. And so even though I was still having fun and it was awesome, there was a lot of other stuff too, and I was very wounded. And something that bothered me was like the writers and stuff would not talk to me. They would tell Homicide to tell me what to change in my character. And so it turned into this thing where Homicide would be like, hey Shelly, they want you to blah 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 blah, and they'd be standing right there like, why are you doing this? And I'd go up to them, I'm like, tell me, it's my character, talk to me. And I was pitching ideas because before I got fired, I had a conversation with Vince. I wanted to do Playboy, and I pitched this whole idea to him. And he was like on it. He was like, you know what? We've never had anyone like you before. You're doing an awesome job, blah, blah, blah. And so when it didn't work out, I tried to pitch that to TNA to have me and SoCal Val be in like together in this whole like scenario. And so they just weren't like anything I said, they just acted like I was like year two in wrestling, like just like whatever. Dixie Carter was a complete bitch to me. Like I didn't understand why. And like it was just this whole thing. And so with Jeff Jarrett, I was like, I had told him some of the stuff, and then he was just like, as they say in the business, just jobbing me out, like in life, not on TV, but on life. And so one day I was just like, you know what, Jeff, like I'm over here, like I care. And I just was going off. And then it's so funny because all of a sudden there was thunder. I said, you hear that? That's God right now. He's telling you, you should be listening to me. And so it wasn't like a big tell off like the other three, but it was more like I had enough. Like I am valuable. I have something to give. Now let me do it. I want to help your company. Not that I'm like, oh, just because I'm no, it was like I want to be a part of the people who help elevate this company. And my voice just wasn't heard. And it's so crazy because you're always in the business taught that you don't go to Vince, you can't cough around him, you don't blah blah blah. Like when I went up to the velocity thing, when I went back, so many people were like, you can't do that. Why did you do that? You're gonna get heat. I said, dude, he's putting me on velocity tonight. I always understood that Vince McMahon was the owner and whatever, but he was just a man. And how are you going to get an opportunity unless you ask? So I took that mentality to TNA. And I felt like even though things didn't work out in WWE, they still kind of heard me out. Whereas in TNA, they acted like, and it's just like, dude, like, what the hell?